Informers Podcast. I am Casey Coggins, joined again by Alvin Hebert.
Yeah.
And Andrew Lira.
We back.
We were gone for a minute. Now we back again. The NFL playoffs has gotten to Conference Championship Sunday, which means the Super Bowl is 2 Sundays from now, which is insane to think about, especially when the Saturday before the Super Bowl, I think we're supposed to go to 6th Street.
Oh, shit, that's right. The day before, yeah.
And then the next Friday, we're supposed to go back up there for Kyle's 30th.
Oh, nice.
So these next few weeks are going to be pretty intense.
Super lit.
There's a lot to talk about just in the world of sports since we last recorded with the NBA and what's going on there. The Bucks being, again, another historic run in the regular season with their point differential and how good offensively and defensively they are.
Talking about the Milwaukee Bucks or the Buccaneers?
The Milwaukee Bucks. I was talking NBA. I mean, the Bucks. The only one part of the Bucks in football was historic, and that's Jameis Winston finishing a 30
for 30.
30 and 30 on a pick six that ended the season. Like,
it couldn't end anymore. Like,
yeah,
poetic.
Jameis Winston style.
People were getting nervous that he wouldn't do it, but yet.
He's like, bitch, I threw 30 touchdowns this year.
And the most Jameis Winston, in the most Jameis Winston fashion, he makes it the most dramatic 30th interception. So, I mean, the storylines of what's going on in college football to the NFL draft to the off-season moves that teams are going to make, what's going to happen with Tom Brady, the coaching hires, OBJ slapping a cop's butt.
Handing out money.
Yeah, straight cash, homie.
Monopoly money, bro.
No, Joe Burrow was like, no, he was handing out $100 bills.
I don't go to school anymore. That was real.
He couldn't blow the whistle hard enough on that one. So there's so much going on that we need to isolate ourselves a little bit for this podcast.
ISO ball.
Yeah. So ISO Joe, good old Joe Johnson. So we want to talk about the Cowboys because that's what we do. The main team around these parts.
Damn
so
right.
Really the only storyline for the Cowboys right now. Dak Prescott's contract is definitely up there, but they have a new coach. They finally got rid of Jason Garrett. And it was probably about 3 years overdue, maybe even longer than that. Y'all do realize that he coached the Cowboys for 9 years?
Thought it was 10 years.
Is it 10? I thought this was his 9th full season.
I thought it was 10. I know he wasted Tony Romo's career.
Tony Romo also wasted Tony Romo's career.
He also wasted Des Bryant's career.
Yeah. Those like
he wasted a lot of careers.
Yes, he did. He sure did. The only career he might not have wasted was Jason Witten's. But
damn, imagine what Jason Witten could have been. I mean, he's already great.
He's Hall of Fame all time.
But imagine how much more he could have done.
I don't know if he could have done any more because he was such a focal. Like he's. You could say that his impact on the Cowboys offense and him getting so many like catches and yards and touchdowns and all of that is part of the reason why
he kept them afloat.
Like some of the other guys around them didn't have the same kind of stats because. The reason why you look at the all-time great quarterbacks and just like this generation's all-time great quarterbacks, you're looking at Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers. Look at how they operate, and it's like sure Tom Brady had Rob Gronkowski. It's sure Peyton Manning had Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, but he also had Dallas Clark. He also had Pierre Garçon. He also had like so many of these other pieces that he was getting involved and he was spreading the wealth. So like you have the one season where Marvin Harrison breaks the all-time catch record. But you have all these other guys that are getting involved. Drew Brees made a 7th-round draft pick in Marcus Colston, one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, but he was also getting Devery Henderson involved. He's been getting Jimmy Graham, Jared Cook. Like, the guy, he tries to spread it out, except when you do have the all-time great, like Michael Thomas this year, you just throw him the ball because he's going to catch it and get these numbers. But the Cowboys kind of had that same thing with Dez Bryant and Jason Witten, where you had these two guys that you could trust, but they didn't have a second. They didn't have that third piece. They didn't have that fourth piece. They didn't have ways that when somebody took away that option, they didn't have that other option.
They didn't have those options. They had fucking DeMarco Murray setting. Wait, he was short by like 6 yards?
He led the league in rushing that one year.
Yeah.
And then they were like, yeah, we ran you into the ground. We're not going to pay you anymore.
This was the first year he was fucking healthy.
They offered him a contract, but the Eagles gave him a bigger contract, and he went with the Eagles.
But
the Cowboys wasn't going to invest.
Yeah,
in
I mean
him
they had those options, but that's just bad coaching. It's always been bad coaching. This year was just the biggest part of it.
Proof of that was bad coaching.
Yeah,
they have one of the most talented fucking teams on the field on both sides.
That's kind of what I was trying to get to with bringing up when you have like somebody like a Jason Witten. Like Jason Garrett's like, well, let's run this tight end option play because Jason Witten's going to get open. And you don't have like, who's in the last 9 years, who's the best third receiving option that the Cowboys had behind Jason Witten and Dez Bryant? Terrence Williams, Cole Beasley, which even he didn't get the same kind of production. Like, look at what he did in Buffalo this year. He looked like,
but I mean,
he looked like Julian Edelman of 3 years ago in Buffalo.
But on top of that, that third option is always just a pick and plug. There's fucking Beasley. There's fucking, what was it, Hearn for 1 year.
Hearns, yeah.
Fucking Terrence Williams.
But like
Butler.
This year, I think they had their deepest offensive side of the ball talent because Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper, I mean Jason Witten, but
Randall Cobb,
Zeke, Tony Pollard, Randall Cobb, like they went 5-6 options deep. They weren't just like, well, we have this one great tight end, this one great receiver, and a bunch of guys that are just...
And we're putting up numbers. But then fucking coaching...
We had the number one offense.
Clapping on the sideline, just clapping the game away.
So it was his 9th full season. The first season that he was the coach was when they fired Wade Phillips after a 1-7 start.
So 10 seasons, 9.5.
Yeah. So he went 5-3 in that first half season, but then he went 8-8, 8-8, 8-8, 12-4, 4-12, 13-3, 9-7, 10-6, 8-8. So he had 3 seasons of 9 where he actually had over 500 record. And I mean, we always joked about him, like in how it operated where they would win that one game that kept him in.
He was always on the hot seat.
Yeah.
Up until this year. That one game was against the Eagles.
Like, and the Cowboys will always go on like a little run.
Well, that one game, you could pick a game that they lost this year. The Jets game. The Eagles game. There was another game that was crucial for them to win that they should have won.
Yeah. It was the last 2 that they had lost.
They won the last game.
Yeah.
Who they played last game?
The Redskins.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. And the Eagles.
I was really hoping that the Giants would like be able to pull that out, and then I forgot how bad their defense was. So, well, let's just finish up the Jason Garrett thing, and then we can talk about the new head coach, and we'll just do the inverse of what we planned on doing. Jason Garrett gets fired. He practically immediately gets another job as an offensive coordinator.
Bubble screens all day.
Gonna be clapping for you on the sideline.
So
he
gets hired by the Giants, and their new head coach of Joe Judge, who has been the special teams coordinator and the wide receivers coach for the Patriots. which was kind of an interesting hire.
Makes sense.
I mean, the Patriots always have like well-coached special teams, but when you're hiring a Patriots assistant coach, you never know if you're hiring somebody who actually like got to make decisions or you're hiring somebody who just had a title. It was Bill Belichick. I still like the Matt Patricia hire because he has brought some sort of like accountability to players and like he's helped change the culture from
pens to pencils.
But he's I feel like he's done a decent job about like honing in a lot of things because the Lions like have had this weird, like the last 10 years of the Lions has been weird where it's like they have Jim Schwartz and they're just committing the most penalties, the most disciplined team.
Undisciplined.
And then they were like, well, let's hire the exact opposite. And they hired Jim Caldwell. And so they became the most disciplined, but then they also became the most conservative and their offense got kind of reined in. And then with Matt Patricia, they've kind of had a little bit of both where like there have been games where they're undisciplined, but there's also games where the offense looks like it should be the best offense in the league. And he's really trying to like fine tune things where early in the season when they had Matt Stafford, the defense looked good. The offense looked good. They looked like they could be right around the playoff push. And then Matt Stafford gets hurt and their season falls apart. And now everybody wants to criticize Matt Patricia. Like, I don't think that we should be doing something like that. Jason Garrett criticism is fair because of all the talent he has and he didn't lose his quarterback. But
I mean, losing Stafford, was that really such a bad thing?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, you just got to fill a spot in with the trash bag.
Just replace it.
I know.
Just put a liner in the fucking trash can as you're good.
I know what you're trying to do, but the numbers don't lie. But
trash stinks.
Case. Trash does stink. Yes. So Jason Garrett, yes, is now the offensive coordinator of the Giants. We'll get to see how he ruins Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. So you get to see.
Poor Saquon's gonna get hit with all those fucking bubble screens.
But the new head coach of the Dallas Cowboys is Mike McCarthy, the guy stepping into Jason Garrett's clapping shoes. Like every step he took, they clapped.
Steps into Jerry Jones' office. I don't know how I feel about him, man. This is weird.
I don't know.
I think the thing that left such a bad taste was the fallout between he and Aaron Rodgers. Granted, Aaron Rodgers has
he's a dick.
The biggest fucking ego.
I
was just about to say, like, I feel like that was more Aaron Rodgers than Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, but who are you gonna go with?
Exactly. They went with the player, the star quarterback.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, like one of the greatest quarterbacks in history, one of the most talented quarterbacks in history.
Against a coach who can easily be like memed.
Yeah. Easily. But I think the problem is that Mike McCarthy didn't adjust to make the most out of Aaron Rodgers. Where those last couple years with Aaron Rodgers when he was healthy, because he did get banged up quite a little bit, but with a healthy Aaron Rodgers, most of the plays that were being called and they were trying to execute ended up just being Aaron Rodgers having to wait until the play broke down so that he can get outside of the pocket and have his receivers make something happen.
Improv.
Like these play structures were not there to help him.
Man, players was also saying that he was changing the plays in the huddle. Like, he would call something, like, and he wouldn't agree with him. He'd be like, that's a dumb play to call right now, and he would, like, change it.
Yeah, and that was kind of the criticism of when they hired Matt LaFleur to take over is Aaron Rodgers actually going to like listen to this 38-year-old or however old he is coach?
It's like LeBron.
Essentially, yeah, is you kind of let him, you say, all right, well, what plays do you want to run, and let's work on those, and let's get the best that we can at those. I mean, Peyton Manning is pretty similar in the way that, you know, he was joked as being the head coach, being the offensive coordinator, because he would just walk into the huddle, call his own play, and then he would just change everything at the line if he needed to. But when you're that great,
when you can read a defense like that, you can do it.
They tend to work out. Things tend to work out. I don't like so I feel like Mike McCarthy was unfairly criticized in ways and fairly criticized in others, because again, like, I don't think he changed himself enough to adapt to this new style of NFL that we see. Mm-hmm. The way that, you know, you look at Andy Reid and the way that he's changed his offenses over the years, like looking at like Sean McVay last year looks like this godsend of an offensive coordinator coach. And this year, he didn't make any changes. He tried to run the same thing with a compromised Todd Gurley, and they don't look nearly as good. You always have to be willing to change your style. And that's where I'm like, I like the Mike McCarthy hire because I think he's a good head coach, and he understands, like, he's a smarter Jason Garrett, which for Cowboys fans might not necessarily be what you want to hear.
I mean, he wins.
I feel like
he. When was the last time he had a losing season? When was the last time he went 8-8? Because with the Packers, he was, even in their fallouts, they were still pulling out 10 wins.
Always winning the division.
I mean,
I can't feel like you can't say that he's like a Jason Garrett, like a smarter Jason Garrett. Like, this fool, he has won a Super Bowl. Like, he's on a different level than Jason Garrett.
So his first season was 2006, went 8-8, and then from then he had a 6-10 season, an 8-7-1 season, and a 7-9 season, and then ending when he was fired last year when he was 4-7-1. Other than that, it was 10-6, 10-6, 12-4, 11-5, 15-1, 10-6, 11-5, 13-3.
Yeah.
So consistently
winning.
And that's why, like, the unfair criticism is, while he didn't change and while he didn't adapt, like, he was also consistently winning. And think of these Packers defenses
that have been horrible.
They were last in the league when they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Clay Matthews was getting all the attention.
Yeah.
And that's like all they had was Clay Matthews. And like, they had Clinton Dix for a while. And they had some talent, but like the defense that the Packers have this season is the best defense that they've had in a long time overall. And I think Mike McCarthy having this Cowboys defense, which is a pretty good defense, they need a couple pieces, but you know, if they get those couple pieces, then they could be a top 5 defense in the league, because with the Van Der Esch, Jalen Smith linebacking combo, the defensive line that they've put together, Byron Jones.
Please give us some safeties. Please, that's all I ask for.
So,
for real.
Where do you know what pick they have this year?
Nah.
I mean, being close to the playoffs, I don't think they
middle of the pack.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna pull up
probably lower middle.
What Todd McShay has them taking this year. What do you expect next season out of this Mike McCarthy led, like, honest expectations? Because I know Andrew always puts the Cowboys to win the Super Bowl.
Playoffs.
Is that winning the division? What kind of record?
I think 10-6.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, guaranteed 10 wins and like lock for the division. Like that's what he guarantees all the time.
Yeah, especially with how bad the NFC East was this year.
Especially. We were the weakest division.
100%.
Yeah, like one of the worst divisions in a long time. God, I'm trying to get this pulled up, but I just think that with Mike McCarthy, I think that there's a lot of positives that come with it. So I don't think it was necessarily it was a bad hire in like any sense. Well, ESPN is failing me because it's trying to pull up the mock draft in the app, which isn't actually pulling up. So, because I was curious where they were being drafted, or who Todd McShay had the Cowboys drafting, and what slot that they were in. Here we go. The Lions have the 5th pick, which is kind of shitty. So the Cowboys have the 22nd pick, which is where they've like kind of been the last few years. Well, I guess a couple of years ago when they went like 6 and 10, they drafted higher, and Todd McShay has them taking Xavier McKinney, safety from Alabama. So it's definitely going to be their main position of focus.
I hope it is.
And there's a part of me that thinks that the Cowboys need to trade up, because while Xavier McKinney is obviously a first round talent, if there's a way that you can kind of combine some picks and trade up into the top 10 and get Grant Delpit, who's the best safety coming into the league out of LSU, I think that's what they need to do, because he could have been a top 15 pick last year if he wanted to.
I'm going to stop you right now. Say that Cowboys have PTSD when it comes to drafting anybody from LSU, especially on the defensive side.
Oh, yeah.
Who do you have in mind?
The number one corner in that draft.
Fucking, what's his name? Maurice
Claiborne.
Claiborne, there you go.
I thought he was from
He's from LSU.
He was on that fucking Honey Badger team where everybody got drafted on that defense. We just happened to get the worst one.
Did not live up to the hype at all.
Nope.
I thought he went to like Kansas State or something.
Nope.
Nah, you talking about the other Terrence Williams.
That was Maurice Claiborne.
Now Terrence Williams, he panned out.
Okay, yeah. He's from Louisiana too, so obviously he would have gone to LSU. So Cowboys are making the playoffs next year. I think they are.
We need to.
We get the division next year.
Alvin thinks they get the division.
We get the conference next year.
Hey.
Super Bowl.
One step closer, man.
So now we need to get into these games. We need to talk playoffs, enough coaching stuff, enough Cowboy stuff. Titans, the Cinderella story.
Dog.
They feel like the Giants from that one season. Wild card team just
winning the Super Bowl,
burning it through the playoffs.
Which has happened, yeah, a couple. I mean, both times that the Giants won the Super Bowl, they were the 6th seed. It's kind of creeping into the playoffs. They were like 9-7 one year,
and then just catch fire.
My main thing about the Titans is for years and years I've been on the I don't give a shit who the quarterback is. If you can have a great offensive line, a great running back, and a good enough defense, you can make enough plays in the passing game to win in the playoffs. Like, that's one of the reasons why, like, why Jason Garrett needed to go is because arguably the best offensive line in football, arguably the best running back in football, a decent defense, and a quarterback who can make plays, and you don't make the playoffs, like, gotta go, because that all the pieces are there. The recipe is there. And the Titans are essentially a worse Cowboys. And look at where they are.
Mm-hmm.
Look who the coach is.
Yeah, I mean, so Arthur Smith is their offensive coordinator, who, like, I found out recently, is the son of the CEO of FedEx.
Wow. Okay.
So it was all about logistics.
But he's been, like, he started out as like a quality assurance like coordinator, where he was just watching film and saying, hey, here's what's going on, like making sure all the film is set up. Like, he got in on the ground floor and worked his way up to where when Matt LaFleur left, they just promoted their tight ends coach, which is Arthur Smith. So tight ends coach, previous offensive line coach, and you kind of see that experience show itself in the way that they play football, where we're going to play smash mouth football, get into play action, and make a couple plays. And Mike Vrabel is the defensive genius, former linebacker of the Patriots, coming up in the Patriot way. And you it all, like, all of that experience and their history is really showing up on the football field in the way that they pretty much controlled the Patriots game. Even though that they ended up winning by 7, but
that game wasn't that close. Like,
it was 14-13, and then Brady threw a pick 6 with like a minute left.
That game just felt like it was like all Titans, like, controlling that game.
And it's like it was even possession pretty much. The Patriots had the 2 turnovers, but one of them was that pick 6 where it was a tipped pass that Brady was just trying to make something happen with a minute left and no timeouts and needing to go the length of the field to get into field goal range to win the game. So, like, take that pick 6 away, same turnovers, less penalty yards, more total yards, more plays. Definitely more passing yards, but the Titans win that game still. Like, and you can look at the same thing with last week against the Ravens. If you just look at the box score, you're looking at 29 first downs for the Ravens to 15 for the Titans, 530 yards for the Ravens, 300 for the Titans, 345 passing yards to 83. And then rushing is kind of a wash, where it was 185 for the Ravens to 217 for the Titans. But the Ravens, 3 turnovers, 2 interceptions, 1 lost fumble. And that game ended up being 28-12, but you feel like it could have been 45-7 because the Titans just controlled that game too. Like, while they're not winning the box score, you feel like they haven't lost control of a game against the 2 on paper better teams. So, like, Andrew, what's your biggest takeaway from what you've seen with the Titans?
Nobody could tackle Derrick Henry. Shit, man. He's just running over people and stiff arming them to death.
I mean, I thought he almost broke Earl Thomas's back with that one.
Dog.
That stiff arm to the back.
He just stiff armed and pushed him away. Yeah, we talked about it earlier before we started recording, is Derrick Henry in his last 8 games would have led the league in rushing. Bill Simmons was talking about, he did the research about when was the last time a guy had back-to-back 30 carry, 185 yard performances? And like, when is the last time we've seen a running back literally carrying a team like this? And the only one was John Riggins in like 82. So we're seeing something historic out of Derrick Henry. And you kind of wonder does this come to an end eventually? Because, you're in the NFL and guys get tired and guys get banged up. Do y'all see this ending? I guess I need to reframe this question, because they're playing the Chiefs and there's a chance that it ends just because the Chiefs get out to 14-0 and the Titans can't rely on Derrick Henry the same way. But let's say the Chiefs don't just blow them out of the water. Like, just thinking about the physicality of running this much so many times and being relied on, do you think that he can still go this week, get a week off, and then do it in the Super Bowl?
I think that's hard to like have a week off and all that stuff, and to like try to like stay hot like how he's been.
But you think he can still do it this week?
I still think he could, yeah.
Yeah, he can do it.
Because one, I don't trust the Chiefs defense. Like, I don't think they're that great. Right? We know this. Their defense is suspect, but
their defense has been like one of the best defenses in the last like 8 weeks.
Nah, I don't trust. I never trust their defense. Andy Reid's defense.
He doesn't call the defensive plays.
I know
it's not his defense. It's Tony Sparano, who's had success being the Giants defensive coordinator when they won the Super Bowl with Michael Strahan, I believe, and the Dolphins defenses that he had were pretty good. They've been pretty good.
I don't trust their defense, especially their secondary.
But see, that's the thing. If you don't trust their secondary, do you trust? We were talking the Titans running game. Mm-hmm. That means if you don't trust the secondary, do you trust Tannehill, AJ Brown, Jonnu Smith, Corey Davis, and maybe a little bit of Deion Lewis?
Oh, I definitely trust AJ Brown and Jonnu Smith. Jonnu Smith. That was hard to say. And Ryan Tannehill, I felt like their chemistry is like caught on fire at the right time. And I trust the Titans defense and their secondary.
I got the wrong defensive coordinator. It's not Sparano, it's Spagnuolo. Steve Spagnuolo. That's who they hired. Sorry to interrupt. Continue.
No, but that's what I was saying. Like, I trust their chemistry over the Chiefs secondary. Then I trust the Titans defense and secondary more than that. Like, I feel like they can make the proper stops when needed.
So I just got this pulled up. Since week 11, the Chiefs have yielded 11.5 points per game. Which was decreased from 23.9 points per game through the first 10 weeks. And they've only allowed 95 yards a game on the ground. So, I mean, it doesn't talk about what they've done in the passing game, but when you're thinking about what the Chiefs need to do to beat this Titans team, it is
hold their run game
and dare Tannehill to outgain and outscore Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid. Andrew, you think that the Titans, like Derrick Henry, can go for 30 carries, 185 yards? Do you think that it will happen? Do you think that the Chiefs are just too explosive to...
I mean, with Derrick Henry and that's just with the regular, any kind of football offense, once you're down 14 points, which can easily happen against the Chiefs, in a matter of minutes.
I mean, they scored.
You have to abandon the run game. Like, that's just... Titans are going to need to hold the Chiefs in order to run this Derrick Henry steamroll.
So you think they can't, though?
They can. I mean, you can. I mean, it's possible.
So AJ Brown this season, like over the last 10 weeks or so, looked like a top 5 receiver in the league. He looked that explosive where you can get him. You remember Demaryius Thomas and the way that he looked with Peyton Manning when they were breaking all those records in Denver?
Delirious Thomas, yes.
The way that AJ Brown looked this year kind of was similar to Demaryius Thomas, where he was breaking tackles. You could run bubble screens and slants, and he would take it 70 yards. But then he could also run deep routes, and you can throw jump balls to him. That's what you have with AJ Brown. Jonnu Smith has kind of come on, being able to replace Delaney Walker as a former basketball player. Had a great touchdown catch last week. Corey Davis, former top 5 pick, I think. He's now their number 2, and so they have some weapons on the outside that maybe they can get something happening. If the Titans, I think that this game almost rides on who wins the coin toss to start the game. Because I feel that
whoever strikes first,
I feel like whoever wins the coin toss should choose to take the ball. Because for the Titans, you take the ball, you try to get a long drive to start the game, pounding Derrick Henry, pounding the run game, try to take 7-8 minutes off the clock. Drop my pen.
Keep Mahomes off the field.
Keep Mahomes off the field. Take the crowd out of it a little bit. And even if you only get a field goal out of it, you get your fingerprints all over the game from the start. Whereas if you're the Chiefs, if the Titans lose the toss, you take the ball, you come out, you try to score as quickly as possible, try to feed up the Arrowhead Stadium.
That gets loud as fuck.
Yeah. Arguably could break the decibel record this week. Because if you come out and you just score immediately, it looks like you're going to just come out gangbusters and like I said, go up 14-0 quick. You get your fingerprints all over the game. You make Tennessee have to kind of think, are they going to still come out and still have the same game plan, or are they going to, since this is the first time they've been in this position, are they going to fold up a little bit and try to put it on Tannehill to win the game and get Derrick Henry out of it? So I think this game could really come down to the coin toss. But before we kind of get on to what we think about how the game, what we actually think is going to happen in the game, other than what could happen, let's talk about the Chiefs last week. They arguably made Bill O'Brien's job in jeopardy. They put his job in jeopardy, I guess that's the proper way to put it. I tweeted the second that they kicked that field goal to go up 24-0 that I was going to laugh so hard when it was 24-21 at half, because you're at 4th and maybe a yard on the 10-yard line, and you have a chance to not only get the first down but also score another touchdown and go up 28-0 on the most explosive offense in the league, and you kick a field goal, and it's almost like saying for the Chiefs, they see that and they're like, oh, This is just 3 touchdowns, like in a field goal. 3 touchdowns in a field goal is a blink of an eye for us. Like it's like going up 15 on the Warriors and deciding to pound the clock. Like, no, you have to continue to put up points. And I think, did y'all hear what Bill O'Brien said after the game?
He said he didn't have no play for that 4th and 1.
So not only that, which is bullshit. He called a timeout. They thought he got it. He called in a play, realized it was 4th and 1, called timeout, and instead of coming up with a 4th down play, he sent out the field goal unit. Yeah. So one, that's bullshit. But he said that he felt that his team needed to score 50 to win. He said that after the game. A field goal isn't going to get you to 50 there. If you feel like you need to score 50 to win, why are you kicking the field goal?
My issue is you don't go for it on the 4th and 1, but you go for it
on the 4th and 4 in your own territory.
Dumb motherfucker.
and I actually like that play call and the going for it on 4th and 4 there, like isolated, was such a great move. And Romo, who was doing the game, like made a great commentary that, that is a great play call. And it came down to Sorensen from the Chiefs having to make a tackle in open space. And had he missed the tackle or not hit him hard enough to stop him in his tracks, they get that first down. Like it is 1-on-1 right there. And all the Texans guy needs to do is make this guy get me at the ankle, make this guy miss, do something to get that extra 2 yards that he needed. But the Chiefs player made an incredible play and a tackle. Isolated. Genius move. That was what you need to do. But like you said, doing that, the possession after you decide to kick a field goal is just, it's inconsistent. And in those 2 plays, swung. I'm a believer in momentum. Swung momentum. It gets the Arrowhead crowd that we talked about. Gets them into it. Patrick Mahomes is sitting on the sideline, getting his team riled up because he knows that they're not going to be able to hold him for that much longer. Like I said about the Chiefs defense, you saying was suspect in that game.
Oh, the Texas defense is just as bad.
In the first quarter, when the Texans went up 21-0, they scored a touchdown on a blocked punt return. They scored a touchdown on a 4th down where, again, like the Chiefs made a weird play where they didn't have a safety up top at all. They had they didn't even have a single high safety. I don't even
know what that coverage was.
The safety that was there bit on the slant because it was only a 4th and 3. They bit on DeAndre Hopkins and they ran a go route with Kenny Stills. Great play call. Like that was it's like the we'll get to the Packers in a little bit, but did you see the Packers running the fake pick to a go route fade for Devontae Adams? But it was
the Packers game.
So it was just that, like, they're going to bite on this short route because it's only 4th and 2 or whatever, 4th and 3. So if we fake that slant, somebody should bite and we should have a shot over the top, which is exactly what happened. Great play call, punt block. And then you have the Chiefs, I think, in their first 3 possessions had 6 dropped passes. So it was the Chiefs kind of were folding on themselves, and the Texans needed to take advantage of it. And when the Texans didn't take full advantage of it, they took mostly advantage of it. They were like 90% there. If they would have taken full advantage of it, I don't know if the Chiefs come back from that. But the kicking the field goal, the going for it on 4th by faking a punt, not even just letting, like, you're not going to trust Deshaun Watson, your best player, to make a play. You're going to instead send out a punt unit and run a fake punt. I never like those calls. So it's just the Texans, I think, lost that game from that field goal. But outside of the Texans being the Texans, Andrew, what did you think of the way that the Chiefs, when they went down 24-0, how they responded? Like,
They responded until they ran out of fireworks. That's something big to say.
What do you think? Like, do you attribute it more to the Chiefs' offense is that good? The Texans' defense was that bad?
No, the Chiefs' offense is that good. I mean, there's a reason that Mahomes won the MVP last year.
Getting a little warm in here. Yeah, I agree that the Chiefs' offense is that good. I mean, it's. I like to talk about little moments in games because I don't know who has the quote, but it's games are comprised of all these little moments that when you put them together, they equal a full game. But if you can win certain moments in games, you tend to win the game. And it's kind of the way that the Patriots play. Like, think of all the Patriots Super Bowls they've won and think about how they've gone about their business in winning those games. They haven't blown out a team in the Super Bowl. Like last year's Super Bowl, the little moments they needed to win were in that one touchdown drive. They needed to get a drive put together, and they won these little moments. One of those little moments in
they had a big moment when they played the Falcons.
That's
a whole half.
but even then, I can put
a lot of little moments.
I can put that down into some little moments where it's the Matt Ryan fumble. It was the stopping them on the fourth down.
The Edelman catch.
Both
of them.
And so like just little things like that. If they flip the other way, it changes the entire complexion of the game. So the field goal is one of those little moments. But coming off of that field goal, is another moment combined, is Mecole Hardman having a 50-yard kickoff return. So it's 24-0, Texans kickoff. Mecole Hardman gets it into their territory. 2 plays later, it's a touchdown. Bam, 24-7. And now it's, okay, now the Texans are in trouble, even though they're up 24-7. That kicking the field goal is like, everybody was like, what are you doing? You go for this. Like, drop the hammer, sweep the leg, put them in the ground. And then the kickoff return, touchdown right away, and you could just feel everything flip to the Chiefs. And that's how quick it can happen for this Chiefs team, which is what I think, if I'm a Titans fan, I'm scared about. Is even if they're up 14-0.
No lead, it's safe. It's like playing the Warriors.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up. Yeah, you're up 15. You're up 15 on the Warriors, and you miss a couple shots the next 3 possessions.
You get punches and bunches.
It's now from up 15 to up 6 in 35 seconds.
Yeah,
and so it's like, think of it going. Think of this game going into the fourth quarter. 14-0 Chiefs or Titans.
You're not safe.
But they can score 14 in 2 possessions in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. That's
and that gets in your head, and then your offense starts thinking about it, and they gotta force it, and then they lose the ball, and then you lose.
Start feeling the pressure.
But it's like if that happens where if the Titans are up and the Chiefs come out and put this drive together, score a touchdown, make it a closer game, now you can't have a 3-and-out. You can't just come out after they score a touchdown and have a 3-and-out. So on a 3rd and 3, you run a play action with Tannehill, and he tries to force the ball because he knows that he can't have a 3-and-out. He throws an interception. How many times do you see things like that happen over the years in NFL games where you can just see that a player forces it because they feel that if they don't, they're going to lose? And it's almost that you get out of character because you can feel all the pressure on, I have to make this play. And that's what the Chiefs do.
Mm-hmm.
So game outcome, game predictions. I think the Chiefs are just going to ride this wave. That it's one of those years where the Patriots get knocked out, they don't have to worry about the Patriots. The Ravens get knocked out, they don't have to go to Baltimore. I mean, even going as far back as Miami beats the Patriots in Week 17. So instead of having to play in Wild Card Weekend, they get a first round bye.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just seems like everything is...
The cards are playing in their favor.
Yeah, it's like they were dealt pocket aces, and now all they have to do is get a good flop, and they win the hand.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like they still ride that wave, and they win like 31-21. If is my prediction. Alvin, your idea about this game?
I'm actually leaning towards the Titans this game.
They're both on highs. It's
Yeah,
a matter
I
of two
think-
waves
yeah.
meeting at the same time.
Exactly. But I just feel like Derrick Henry is just like he's playing on a different level.
It's one of those runs that like the Joe Flacco run, where it was like all of a sudden Joe Flacco became Joe Montana, and he just put the Ravens on his back for 4 weeks, and they went and won every game. They had that great comeback against the Broncos, but Joe Flacco just kind of was on fire. Like, you couldn't slow down the Ravens, and like Torrey Smith and Jacoby Jones, like, and led them to a Super Bowl. That's
and
kind
Quan
of
Bolden.
yeah. That's the Derrick Henry run is literally the Derrick Henry run.
I just feel everything for the Titans is clicking right now, on offense and defense, like special team, like every like phase of it. Like every phase of the game, I just feel like everything's clicking for them at the right time, right moment. Like I feel like it's a Cinderella run.
It's like the March Madness. Andrew, on to you. Titans, Chiefs. How's it playing out?
I don't know. I can't call this. It can go either way.
I mean, that's kind of how, like, I feel that way too.
I'm torn. I can 50. It's a 50-50 split.
But so let's say, what is not necessarily how do you think that it's going to play out? What is your best guess at how it will play out?
This thing about 50-50 is it's evil. It's even. The Titans can grind it out, or the Chiefs can just air it out.
You're going with like one of Alvin's bold predictions. You're a little.
That's what I'm saying. I can't predict this one. I got no prediction here.
Now you feel me?
This is what happens when unstoppable force meets an immovable object.
Yeah. It's
I could see this ending in a fucking tie.
Yeah. I mean, like, I would not be surprised in the slightest if the Titans continue this roll. Like, if the Titans win 24-21, like,
that's what I'm saying.
Hell, if the Titans win 14-10, I wouldn't necessarily be surprised. I mean, I'd be a little surprised if the Chiefs don't score more than 20.
I could see this going in overtime. I could see over making a prediction, because a prediction will go 50-50. I have 60% saying it could go in fucking overtime.
So here's a little nugget that these are the kind of games that where it rears its head. The Titans kicker hasn't attempted a field goal for them. I mean, I don't know if he attempted one last week because they won 28. I think he's only kicked extra points since they've signed him. Like, we don't know if they actually have a kicker. Whereas the Chiefs have Harrison Butker, who has been
one of the best
dynamite for them. So while I pull up, I'm pretty sure that he's only attempted. Only extra points. So, and he didn't do it. He didn't attempt a field goal in the Patriots game either. So, Like, will this be like Chiefs are up 31-28 with 3 seconds left, and
you got to rely
and you have to rely on a kicker for a 40-yard field goal
that has not attempted a fucking field goal in how many games?
It's like a college football game where you're relying on a true freshman kicker.
Yeah, it's never kicked the ball ever.
So now we need to get onto the NFC. To me, the AFC was a lot more exciting and entertaining than the NFC this year, so that's why we spent a lot more time talking about them. So we're just going to do a quick run through of the Packers and the Niners, because the Packers were my preseason Super Bowl pick out of the NFC. I'm not wavering from that, because I think that when you have the talent of Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams and Jimmy Graham, offensively you can do enough. Even like the way that Aaron Rodgers can find a way to make Alan Lazard and Marquez Valdez-Scantling and like some of these lesser guys important pieces when they need to make a play. I think that there's enough offensively. They had a banged up offensive line when they got blown out earlier in the season. Now that they have an offensive line that's healthy, I think that they have all the things clicking at the right time. And Aaron Rodgers has been saying, "I don't care if we win ugly as long as we win." And I feel like this could be an ugly game, just like the Seahawks game last week, where it looked like they were just going to blow the Seahawks out of the water, but then everything kind of started breaking down for the Packers, and they ended up having to make a couple key third downs to really finally put Russell Wilson to bed. And I think that the Packers defensively have enough to make plays to get the offense, keep the offense on the field in the game. I really liked this Packers team before the season, and I still really like the pieces that the Packers have. Alvin, what do you think of the Packers?
Of the Packers?
Yeah, we're talking just Packers right now. Quick breakdown.
Yes.
Perfect.
It's like their offense could be very explosive with Jones, and then you got Adams, and you got Jimmy Graham, and then like all those unknown receivers that he makes them. They just have big games sometimes. But their defense.
Are you gonna say that they're suspect too, like you said the Chiefs are?
They're like, they could be shaky. Like at the beginning of the season, their defense was legit. Like that's all everybody was talking about.
And then they dealt with injuries.
Yeah, of course. But I felt like with those injuries, they like fell back a little bit way too deep, and like they could just have games where like you thought the Seahawks could make that magical Russell Wilson comeback game.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
she started picking them apart, and they started making like breaking down on plays and everything. And so, like, I trust the Niners defense more consistently than the Packers defense.
Oh, I definitely agree with that statement entirely. Andrew, I know you said yes on your Packers breakdown.
Yes.
Would you like to shed any further light on yes about the Packers?
Definitely.
Definitely. Yes.
Perfect. All right. Cool.
That's the best analysis.
And now, and now your breakdown of the 49ers.
Uh-huh.
All right. So I'm gonna just take that as definitely is better than So it's like you're more confident in the Packers
definitely
than the 49ers. And is this because the Packers have Aaron Rodgers and the 49ers haven't been there? Do you like how I'm trying to
definitely
so then back to you, Alvin. Your analysis on the 49ers.
Well, couple thoughts. Like I mentioned before, I trust their defense consistently more than I do the Packers. And I feel like their defense, like how you feel like the Packers could make enough plays, whatever, to keep the Niners off the field and Aaron Rodgers and them on the field more. That's what I feel the Niners could do to the Packers offense, is make enough plays to where Shanahan is running his freaking high-end offense with all his running backs and those unknown receivers. And then you got Kittle to just take over the passing game, a fucking tight end that should be a receiver.
I mean, he was the highest rated player or highest graded player in the NFL this year by Pro Football Focus. So he was literally the best player in the league, regardless of position, George Kittle. Do y'all know the Matt LaFleur, Kyle Shanahan, like, comparisons, like how close they are? Like, they were on the same staff at Central Michigan.
Aren't they like best friends?
No, so Matt LaFleur or Robert Saleh, not Kyle Shanahan. Robert Saleh and Matt LaFleur, defensive coordinator for the 49ers, head coach for the Packers, were on the same staff at Central Michigan back in like 2003. They'd worked together for the next like 15 years to where they were groomsmen for each other's weddings. Like they are like as close
They're
as
friends.
close. Yeah. As close can be.
That's my day one right there.
Yeah.
One of the offensive assistant coaches for Kyle Shanahan is Mike LaFleur, Matt LaFleur's brother. Kyle Shanahan and Matt LaFleur were coaches together for the Redskins and the Falcons before LaFleur went to the Titans and Shanahan went to the 49ers. These coaches know everything about the other.
Mm-hmm.
These coaches know
That's crazy tie-ins.
how like what each other wants to do. So it comes down to, it's one of those
Player capabilities.
Like, who's going to execute? Like who's going to
make the play?
Who's going to make the play? Like who's going to make the Tracy Porter interception?
Here's the answer. He wears a belt.
Does he
discount double check on it?
Does he do double checks?
He has very good insurance.
Very good insurance.
So
Pat Mahomes is with him too.
They're friends with Pat Mahomes.
I was gonna get to are we gonna have the State Farm Bowl? So Kyle Shanahan is, to me, the best offensive mind in football right now. He is the best play caller. He sets up his offense better than anybody. Better than Sean Payton, better than Andy Reid, better than Sean McVay. He runs the most well-rounded offense. He knows how to create chunk plays. He knows when to run a play action. He knows when to run a jet sweep. He knows when to run a toss. Look at last week with the Vikings. He knew, I'm just going to run the ball straight up the gut 9 straight times. I think they ran the ball 22 straight plays, or 22 of 24 plays, some ridiculous number. They were just like, we don't need to pass on you. We can just run on you. And they dominated that game. But for me, it comes down to that, are the 49ers going to have those conference championship game jitters? Because nobody on that team has been there other than Richard Sherman. Kyle Shanahan has coached in the Super Bowl and has been in big games like this. But again, it comes down to, this is the biggest game of Jimmy Garoppolo's career. It's going to be one of those where last week was the biggest game of Jimmy Garoppolo's career. This week is now the biggest. And then if he wins, the Super Bowl will be the biggest. How is he going to perform? Because he wasn't the reason why they won last week. It was because they just ran the ball all over the Vikings, and the Vikings had 7 straight 3-and-outs.
That's what I think is good about Kyle Shanahan and that offense, because they don't rely on Jimmy to win them the game.
And they know, all right, well, this is going to need to be a Jimmy game, and like he understands the moment, and that's why I'm like he knows when and who and all of the things that you need to know about what play to run. Kyle Shanahan knows, but I can't waver from my Packers making the Super Bowl pick. To me, I think this game is going to be an offensive game. I have a feeling like this is going to be both teams
Shootout.
in the 30s. And I think it's going to be 38-35 Packers. Alvin, who wins?
Of course, I am going with the Niners.
Of course.
Dang, I never thought about a score though.
You don't need to do a score. That's just something.
All right.
I mean, if you want to do a score, pick a score, and we can.
Yeah, man, pick a card in your card. Which one?
Nah,
Exactly.
I got the Niners. That's my card.
Okay,
You got a 9.
Andrew.
Go fish.
I know we got a definitely on the Packers and an on the 49ers, and you were 50-50 on the Titans and Chiefs. It feels like the definitely is still outweighing the 49ers.
Yeah, 100%. I don't see.
You think the Packers win?
Yes,
Okay,
definitely. Definitely a maybe.
So, well, since you didn't make a call on the AFC, we can't do your initial prediction on the Super Bowl because you don't have an AFC contender unless you think the Packers are winning it.
Yeah.
Or is it going to be if the Titans, no matter who wins the AFC, you think they win it, or if the Chiefs win, they win the Super Bowl. If the Titans win, the Packers win.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Like the Chiefs can beat the Packers. The Packers can beat the Titans.
Gotcha. Which is, I think, I would kind of lean that way too.
Yeah. It's like some kind of sick 3-way they have going on.
So
bunch of dudes.
Gross.
So you have it as if the Chiefs make the Super Bowl, they win. If the Titans make the Super Bowl, Packers win.
Yes.
Alvin, you have Chiefs, 49ers. You have I was trying to think of what this game is, but like it's the Joe Montana Bowl. Like I mean if it's Chiefs 49ers, I think the storyline is the like old time master offensive coach and Andy Reid against the new hotshot offensive coach and Kyle Shanahan, in all of the different ways that those two can attack a defense. And that's kind of where you have these, like you have the best quarterback in the league in Patrick Mahomes trying to win his first Super Bowl. You have the guy who was supposed to be the next Tom Brady trying to win his first Super Bowl. Like there are a few storylines there. I don't think there's as many as if it's Chiefs Packers. I don't think it's as many if it's like as Titans 49ers even, because the Titans are such a big deal and like such a good story. But for the Chiefs 49ers, how do you see it?
I just feel that definitely the Chiefs will win that Super Bowl. I think the Niners will like keep it close, but I just feel like Pat Mahomes will just like that'll be his game, like his moment right there.
Yeah. I mean, I have Chiefs Packers, and this is Chiefs Packers. I believe would be a rematch of the first Super Bowl ever played, and it's hard to go against the Chiefs right now. Like it's like pick again, like to make the third Warriors reference. It's like picking against the Warriors. Like they can do so many things, and they have at least a good enough defense to where they're not just getting blown off the map. And I don't see, I think it's just one of those, it's their year. It's like, it's manifest destiny for the Chiefs.
That's racist.
I mean, it's kind of funny that I use Manifest Destiny and the fact that
You're white.
I was thinking because I'm picking the Chiefs. The Chiefs have Manifest Destiny. That was where I was going
Chiefs
with it.
over the white man of Aaron Rodgers.
The white man of Aaron Rodgers.
Goodbye, John Smith.
So I think, like, do we all think it's the Chiefs win the Super Bowl? Like, at this very moment, we think the Chiefs win the Super Bowl. I know you, again, Andrew, you were kind of 50-50 on the Titans.
If they can win tonight, they can.
Okay. And so I think we both have the Chiefs, Alvin.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter who wins the Super Bowl, I think we can all thank God that it's not the Patriots. I think I mean, the Titans have done their due diligence for the NFL, and they should be praised for an eternity for just beating the Patriots.
Thank you, Lord baby Jesus.
Lord baby Jesus. Your little baby Jesus manger.
And so with that, the games start in 20 minutes. We shall wrap up and get back to you Thursday night with a Super Bowl pod with some predictions and talk about that.
Some might say a super pod.
Super pod.
It's not the Bird Bowl, that's for sure. I was really looking forward to it.
So, the Bird Bowl?
The Bird Bowl, yeah. I like birds.
And their droppings.
So
I don't know about all of that.
Would you like the Bird Bowl if it was the Eagles?
No.
So
there's only a couple birds that I like. Eagles aren't one of them. Falcons had their chance.
Before I finish the outros, did y'all see? I think it was when the Seahawks were playing the Eagles. They did a like birds in the playoffs.
Bees.
Breakdown, like a graphic, and they were like there are 4 bird teams in the NFL, and they've played in the playoffs this many times, and I'm like, that's wrong. There are 5 bird teams, and so I was like, okay, so there's the Ravens, there's the Falcons, there's the Seahawks, there's the Eagles. Like, who am I forgetting? Like, who is that last bird team? Because I know that there's a 5th, and I was like, I was trying to think of who that 5th bird team was, and it's I'm spacing on it, but I know that there's a 5th bird team. It's Eagles, Seahawks,
Falcons,
Ravens, Falcons, and the Cardinals.
There you go.
That's and I think in that they just completely ignored the Ravens, the team that had the best record in football. And maybe they were only talking NFC because all of the 4 of the 5 are in the NFC.
Yeah.
But they didn't make that
Who knows?
clear.
We don't know.
So we'll be back in a few days to record again. I am Casey Coggins, joined as always by Alvin Hebert.
Outros.
And Andrew Lara.
Definitely.
Uh-huh.
We are
Yes.
fans of a different kind. We'll take your girl, pay you no mind. Stealing hearts is what we do. Watch out, girl, I'm coming